Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to this special reaction podcast on the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese. The 2026 World Cup playoffs draw for Europe has just concluded. Italy will play against Northern Ireland in the semi-finals of the playoffs at home. If Italy win that match in the final, they will play the winner of the Wales versus Bosnia and Herzegovina semi-final. But in that final, Italy would play away from home. So that's the draw. Let's start with the semi-final. Italy was seeded in pot 1, along with the 3 other seeds, Denmark, Turkey and Ukraine. So they couldn't have drawn any of them. They could have drawn Romania, Sweden, North Macedonia or Northern Ireland. They were drawn in path A and they were drawn against Northern Ireland. Marco Materazzi, of course, 2006 World Cup winner, was the man that was doing the draw for Italy. And was this a good or bad draw? I mean, I think that the team that we wanted to avoid was Sweden, because on paper, Sweden have so much quality. Isak, Gyökeres, Kulusevski, Hugo Larsson, Isak Kien in defence. I mean, individually, there's so much quality in that team. They've been a complete mess. They haven't even won a single game, but still, you just don't want to play a team with that much quality in when it's just one game and they could potentially improve under a new manager. So it was important that Italy missed Sweden and they managed to do that. Then out of those other 3 teams, I think that there's not too much difference between them, but I think that probably Romania, you'd probably consider being the second toughest team. So we managed to avoid them. And then I think Northern Ireland or North Macedonia, I think that both of those 2 teams are reasonably evenly matched. So I think if you could have said on paper, who do we want to play? It would have been one of Northern Ireland or North Macedonia. And we've managed to get Northern Ireland. So I think that in terms of the semi-final, Italy can't be too disappointed by that draw. Northern Ireland finished 3rd in their qualifying group behind Germany and Slovakia. They're no pushovers. I mean, they beat Slovakia and they only lost narrowly 1-0 to Germany. So, this isn't going to be an easy game. They're mostly made up of Championship and League One players, but they do have some Premier League players. Conor Bradley of Liverpool, probably the biggest name. Daniel Ballard and Trey Hume have been playing really well for a Sunderland team who are flying in the Premier League, near the top of the table this season. Justin Devaney of Crystal Palace as well. So they do have some Premier League quality there. But most of the rest of the team are Championship players, League One players, and their attack, they don't have too much firepower, top quality firepower in attack. I mean, our defence has been horrific and have been conceding against weaker attacks than Northern Ireland. We saw against Israel how much, that Italy struggled, but I think that it's not a bad draw, and there is the history angle in that they knocked us out of the 1958 World Cup qualification playoffs, but I don't think that shouldn't be something that weighs on the minds like, say, a Sweden or North Macedonia would have done, having been knocked out by those teams in the last 2 World Cup playoffs. But yeah, I think all in all, it's on paper not a bad draw. Northern Ireland do play as a team though, and that's something that we need to make sure, that we need to play as a team. I'll come at the end. I'll talk about whether I think we'll qualify. But all in all, not a bad draw on paper. But then again, we said that about North Macedonia 4 years ago. We were delighted to get North Macedonia. We all thought that was a bye and that we would play Portugal in the final. And in the end, we didn't make it. So Italy have to take this game seriously. Then we move on to the final. The pot 2 team, Wales, against the pot 3 team, Bosnia and Herzegovina. They were drawn in path A along with us. that semi-final, Wales will be at home first against Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the winner of that tie will play against us. In terms of the quality of these teams, personally, I was hoping to avoid Wales because they've had an up and down qualification campaign. They won 5 and lost 4 of their last 10. But they did finish on fire. They won 7-1 against North Macedonia in their last game. They run completely riot there this week on Tuesday. But they are dangerous in attack. They've got a lot of pace in attack. Brennan Johnson of Tottenham, maybe their star man. David Brooks of Bournemouth. Daniel James. They've got Jordan James in midfield, somebody that's loved by Gasperini. He's tried to sign him for Atalanta and also wants him at Roma. Ben Davies in defence. They have a lot of Premier League players in their team, and they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They're not a nice team to play against. Assuming Italy get through, play in Northern Ireland first. They're playing another British team will, of course, help set Italy up for that game, though. And then the alternative is Bosnia. They had a brilliant qualification campaign, brilliant. And they nearly finished first. I mean, they were leading against Austria deep into the second half, and they would have finished first. And Austria would have gone to the playoffs. Austria equalised in the second half, and then that meant that Bosnia finished second. They beat Romania home and away in the qualifiers. They drew with Austria away. And they only lost one qualifier, and they've improved a lot in the last year. They were a team that were a complete mess up until a year ago, but they've improved so much. There are a lot of kind of new players coming through that look quite talented. One in particular that we know about, which is the centre-back, former Juventus player Muha Removic of Sassuolo, might even return to Juventus, wanted by Inter as well. He's excellent. But of course, their talisman, we know who he is. It's Edin Dzeko. He's 39 years old. Hasn't been doing well for Fiorentina this season, but has been doing really well for Bosnia. So, Bosnia, but Wales versus Bosnia. But that game is played at Wales first. So that's a big advantage for Wales. But the big thing, the key part of this potential final game is that we will be away. And that is the big blow from this, the biggest blow from this draw. Is that we really, my wish going into this draw was we're at home at the semi-final, that was already decided, but also at home in the potential final as well. The fact that we're away, to go away, I'm just thinking the Wales, any away game is tough. You've got that crowd that's going to be for you in a one-off match. They can be the 12th man. But going away to Wales in Cardiff, I've been to that stadium. It's the crowd really is, it's really hot. And these players, these Italy players, as we've discussed, mentally, they're a bit broken after losing 4-1 at home against Norway. And they're not really a team at the moment. And they just, as Gattuso, the manager, said, first sign of adversity, or that adversity, I wouldn't even call it adversity, it was just a shot, that first shot that Norway had. They kind of just fell apart mentally. And, I don't want to go away to Wales, or even Bosnia, but certainly Wales away. Seeing how our players that are a bit broken, a bit weak mentally, how they're going to stand up to that crowd. That's a concern. But I don't want to be too presumptuous. I don't want us to fall into the trap that we made 4 years ago and look ahead to the final. We need to win that semi-final first and beat Northern Ireland, and then we worry about the final. But talking about that final in itself, it's a big blow not to be at home. But this is it now, and this is it. We know what we've got to do. It's going to be tough. Our team is not in good shape. With pressure is going to be really big, because having failed 2 World Cups in a row. The team's not playing well. I think I've said already, I don't want to repeat myself. Listen to my past pods of the players that I don't want to be in the squad anymore. I don't want Di Lorenzo. I don't want Mancini. I don't want a Cristante. There's players that I want to see brought into the team, like Coyote, maybe, like I think Chiesa has to come back in. Spinazzola, if he's fit, when he's fit, needs to be back in. And just hope that going into these playoffs, 4 months is a long time. Let's hope our players are fit, they're in form. The opposition maybe has 1 or 2 players out. We get a bit of luck, which we're probably going to need. If we're going to make it, let's hope that we can get through, and let's hope that Wales versus Bosnia game can, I don't know, go to extra time, penalties. Let's tire them out. The final's only 5 days later. The dates are March the 26th, the semi-final at home. The venue still to be decided, but it looks like Bergamo or Turin possibly could be where they do it. And then the final will be played on March the 31st, and that will be away from home. So yeah, it all depends on us now. I think it depends on us. Look, clearly on paper, we're stronger than all of these potential teams we're playing, but we need to play as a team. It's on us. Gattuso needs to create a team out of these players. On paper, if the match was played individually on paper, we'd win every time. But on as a team, we're not a team. And at the moment, these other teams are probably more of a, well, they are, given the quality of their players. They're more of a team than us, and we've shown that we can lose because we're not a team. So we need to try and build a unit, be solid, and let's hope we can do it. I'll just read through the other fixtures quickly. So Path B: Ukraine versus Sweden, Poland versus Albania. The home team in the final will be the winner of Ukraine-Sweden. Important, I should say, that the one team that I wanted to avoid out of the potential finalists was Poland, or the number 1 team. I did want to meet Wales, though. They were probably the second team I wanted to avoid in the final, to be honest with you. But anyway, Path C: Turkey versus Romania and Slovakia versus Kosovo. The home team in the final is Slovakia versus Kosovo, winner. And then Path D: Denmark versus North Macedonia, Czechia versus Ireland, and the home team in the final will be Czechia or Ireland. So yeah, there we have it. Very British path for us, along with Bosnia. But fingers crossed. Let's hope we can do it. Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you on Sunday evening or Monday for review of the weekend. That isn't completely settled. Depends on some logistics. We will, of course, review the return of Serie A and the Milan derby, of course. So look forward to that. Until then, ciao, ciao, and Forza Italia.